had a little girl come in. She was like 11. She's like, "This is yours? This is
Oh.
your shop?" Like, she just couldn't believe it. And I said,
Oh.
"Yes, you could have one too."
Welcome to Empaths Anonymous.
A space for dreamers, healers, and feelers, navigating the fine line between putting yourself first and holding space for others.
If you struggle with balancing your needs while still supporting your tribe, then you're in the right place.
Welcome to the support group.
You guys were matchy-matchy today.
Very.
Ask us if we planned it.
We did not. Ask us if we live together. We do.
Bueno.
Hi, hello,
Hi.
and welcome back to Empaths Anonymous podcast. I'm Christina.
I'm Danny.
And I won't speak for you. I've missed you guys. I feel like we were just on the couch a little bit ago, but time's been, what is time?
Yeah, time has been really feeling strange. Last week felt super long, but then the days go by fast. So the time has been giving us a time. However, we are so happy and really excited always to be back on the couch, of course. But today we have, she would laugh at me if I called her this, a local superstar on the pod today. But first, let's check in a little bit. How are you feeling? How are you showing up?
I am showing up grateful. I'm grateful for what I have, what's going on in my life, what I'm coming out of and leaving behind. We're recording this the day before an eclipse. So I'm really just thinking about, wow, in the last 6 months, a lot of shit has left my life and I'm grateful for it. So keeping it short and sweet, because what else is there to say?
Right. It's very true. I told someone last night, actually, because of course the TikTok algorithm does what it does. And there's a lot of different things that come up on my page and regarding the eclipse, regarding what the planets are doing at any given time. And so a lot of it was shedding, thinking back to where you were this time last year, which for the both of us was just straight up confusion. And I think that gratitude is a huge, huge word that is used a lot, but never really thought of as something that...
You guys can't see it.
She has a gratitude tattoo on her hand. It's something that we need to remind ourselves of pretty much on a daily basis.
That's why I got it.
Yeah, and actually think about the things, not just think of the word and be like, okay, yeah, I'm grateful, but really list the things out, right? So that's really it. I'm showing up the same way. I'm showing up excited. I'm showing up really ready to share this guest with you guys. We were so thankful that she said yes to us, as always, and was just such a delight. And really, truly a lovely conversation. And we're going to really get into it. Let's get into the tea.
I'm excited that we have our first guest from Temecula.
That's true. It will be her.
The Temec town.
The T-Towns.
Yeah. So we hope that you guys will, I know that you guys will enjoy, because she is just, like we said, a superstar, a delight, just a light beam of a woman. Very strong, very hilarious. You guys are going to love it. And we talk a lot about hair. And
we do.
Other things that go deeper than hair.
Right.
Confidence and being content with where you are, even though it's not necessarily where you would choose. So I hope that even if you are not a curly-haired queen, you can still relate to this episode in a lot of ways.
Right. I am not, and I did. So without further ado, we would like to introduce our guest, Miss Brandie Kekoa. Hi, everyone. Today we have a very lovely guest local to the Temecula Valley, which of course we love to highlight and we love to have locals on.
Yeah, we're so excited about it.
Miss Brandie Kekoa, who is a social influencer, business strategist, and curl healer, known for empowering entrepreneurs to build authentic brands and market effectively on social media. With her expertise in curly hair care, she helps clients embrace their natural beauty while fostering confidence, bold decision-making, and fulfilling lives. Welcome to the podcast, Brandie.
Thank you for having me, ladies.
Oh, of course. You were on our list. I don't remember who it was that said, but you need to have Brandie on your podcast. She's like the Temecula connection queen. She's the connector. And we're like, okay. And then we went and stalked you a little bit on social, and I saw like your affirmation cards and all these things. I was like, okay, she seems so cool. So we're so excited that you agreed to come on today and talk to us.
Of course. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. And Yeah. I'm like, let's go. I'm all into
Yeah, let's
conversations
get into it.
and getting into the meat and potatoes of
Mhm.
why I'm here
Mhm.
and talk about things. And yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, going off of that, what's in your cup today?
I'm so happy that you
Ooh.
asked. I have a prescription box and it's from a black owned brand that provides subscription wines of BIPOC winemakers.
Oh, what is it
Oh.
called?
So Vintneur,
Ooh.
and I can send you guys all her information.
Okay.
I believe she's based out of Palm Springs, but I met her at this wine show and she has subscription boxes with BIPOC winemakers in it. So I just got my box and
Mhm.
I'm so happy. And I pulled this wine. It's called Lovely Wine Pure Joy
Ooh.
Oh,
by Black female winemaker.
very
Awesome.
nice.
And it's tasty. It's a Pinot
Oh,
Noir. It's
love
very,
Pinot
Ooh.
very
Noir.
tasty.
Yeah.
Pinot Noir is such a
In
good.
So
true
that's
Yeah.
what's in my cup.
Uh-huh.
in true Temecula fashion.
Right.
With
I
a glass
gotta
of
have the
wine.
You
wine.
had to. You
Hey.
had to.
What's in your life cup? How are you showing up today?
Ooh, just not just today.
Mm.
That's a okay. I'm showing up for my family today
Mm.
because being an entrepreneur and being on the grind as much as I've been, Sundays is typically the day. You guys are, of course, an exception for me
Oh,
Mhm.
to
thank
break
you.
away,
Thank you.
but Sundays is typically the day that I spend with my hubby and kids,
Mhm.
and we kind of all like to regroup and come back to or talk about the week and how things were and your
Mm.
challenges and your wins and just little things like that. So usually I on these days I put my family forward and I like to fill them up
Oh,
because throughout the week I'm kind of taking care of everybody
Yeah, all
else.
over.
right.
Right. Yeah. In a service based industry, that's really what you do from sun up till sundown, right? People show up in your chair in every different kind of emotional state and you have no idea. So, yeah, I can imagine. I
Yes,
can
I
imagine.
get tears
Hmm.
Oh,
often. We'll get into that later, but yes, I get all kinds of tears
Oh.
and emotions.
Yeah, I would imagine, especially having sat down in your chair and that not being the very first chair they sat down in to have their hair done and nothing is really, which we'll get into like you said, but
mhm.
nothing has worked so far and it feels like a frustrating journey. So I can imagine when they finally get there it's like tears of relief almost.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We
Yeah.
like that. Sundays are for family. They're so much slower. You can kind of ease into them and kind of help you reset for the beginning of the
Mhm.
week for
Yeah.
sure.
Set back your week.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
I always feel like
Absolutely.
finding somebody who's going to go on your hair journey with you is similar to finding a good therapist, you know?
Mm.
Because it's like in
Yes.
turn, like you end up kind of being a little bit of a therapist because you're like talking to people about their lives. And I'm
Hmm.
sure like clients too that are with you for a really long time, it's like you're learning about their family and you're seeing their own life evolve as get to know them and service them for years and years. So,
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. I mean, I've been in the game for quite some time and I've seen little girls go through middle school, high school, college, and now
Oh my
weddings. So
wow.
gosh.
I'm
Oh,
like, oh,
chills.
yeah. I'm like, I'm not that old.
No, never. Yeah, well, speaking to that, you have coined yourself a curl healer. And so, as far as that's concerned, getting to that point must have been quite the journey. So, at what point did you, or have you always been confident in wearing your natural hair?
Yeah. Well, first, I'm typically curly. You
Mhm.
guys caught me when I have my little braids in, my
Yeah.
little vacation
Oh, I
braids.
love
Yeah, end
them.
of summer, you got
But
to.
right. But I always wasn't
Mm.
accepting and loving my curls because my mother wasn't she was natural in high school,
Mm.
right, in the 70s, and then the 80s came out with the relaxers,
Hmm.
right? And oh, this is easy. It's going to be easy for me. This is easy for my girls. They went through the Jerry curl stage, the relaxer stage. By the time I was 8 years old, I had my first relaxer.
Mm.
Wow.
And it was just one of those things. We had I did my touch up. My mom would take me to the hairdresser, or my aunt was a hairdresser. And every 6 to 8 weeks, we get our little roots touch up. And I just remember in my mind when I would see my roots at such a young age, I was like, oh, I have to go to the salon to get touched up.
Mm.
It was something that was just, I would almost cry if I couldn't get it.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very interesting time for me. And I was constantly getting them until I went to beauty school, right, in 2007, because I'm a third generation hairdresser.
Oh,
So
wow.
I
Okay.
was following
Mhm.
after the footsteps of my aunt who has passed away and my grandmother. So I went to beauty school in 2007. I said, this is what I want to do. At the time, I was still pressing, I was
Mm.
still relaxing.
Mhm.
And I graduated from beauty school, and then I went into the salon, and I was doing this one particular day, it clicked. I did like 7 relaxers in one day,
Wow.
right?
Mm.
So it's like you do the roots or you'll do a virgin relaxer or whatever. And I just remember I just had my firm relaxer. I was doing my thing. And at the end of the day, I looked at the tint brush and I was like, oh shoot, the bristles are gone. Like this is crazy. These
Wow.
are plastic thick
Yeah.
bristles.
Mhm.
Why are the bristles eaten off of my brush? Right. So then I kind of started thinking then, like, this is interesting. Then it was time for my touch up again. And it was either a bad batch of a relaxer or it was over processed when the stylist did it. But I ended up losing a bunch of hair in the middle. It was like a bald spot.
Wow.
Oh.
So I was like, what? Now I was like, okay, this can't be good for
Mhm.
us.
Right.
So then I started doing all this research, and it was kind of like this veil was lifted up. This is not good for us. Why are we doing this? Why are we putting this? Our scalp has open follicles.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Our skin is an organ.
Mhm.
It opens and closes just like with cold water and hot water. It's like your skin is accepting of things, and it can bring in things and it can enter into your bloodstream. And I'm thinking, we're putting this on our scalp. This is like dangerous. And I've been doing it to people. One day I just stopped. I said, I'm not doing relaxers anymore. And let me tell you, them folks in the salon were like, you crazy? You gonna be walking around like a nappy head? I big chopped myself, and they was like looking at me like, oh, look at the hair, it's tight and kinky, like clowning.
Right.
Mm.
I didn't care. Something told me like this is not right.
Mhm.
And if I cared about the people that I serviced, I cannot continue to do
Mhm.
this. So my last relaxer was, oh my gosh, it was in 2008.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Was the very last relaxer I had, and I said I will never ever do this to anybody else. And you know what? And I'm not discrediting or talking about stylists that still do it
Mhm.
because that's their thing.
Sure.
Mhm.
But for me personally, after knowing what's in sodium hydroxide and what is in these relaxers, I can't do it within good conscience within my brand.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is so dangerous, the chemicals, and I had a similar experience to you. I was burned, and so I had to like chop all of my hair off. I'm mixed, so my mom is white, my dad is black, but I didn't grow up
Mhm,
with the black side of the family. So my
mhm.
mom just kind of had to figure out how to do my hair the best that she could, and we didn't really do much to it. I basically wore it up or and braided it and things like that until I was getting to that age where I'm like, I want to look cute. Like, I think I was in middle school and I was like, I want to wear my hair down. I want my hair to look good. I don't want to feel like my hair is always nappy or frizzy or, whatever the kids at
Mhm.
school try to call your hair. So they told my mom, like, you need to go take her to a black salon. So she did. So we went into Milwaukee and I started getting relaxers when I was like 11 years old. But my hair is a lot more fine. And so it just really couldn't handle it. And I think I got it 2 or 3 times, and then the fourth time, they burned me and I had a bald spot in the back of my head. And they had to give me, like, remember the Rihanna Umbrella music video where she has the super long front and then it's like stacked in the back? I had to
Yeah.
get that haircut. And I think I was a freshman in high school. So I was 14 and I had to get that haircut. And I was so insecure because then all of a sudden my hair was so short. and that was the last relaxer that I ever got. So it was kind of around the same time as you. It was like
Mhm.
2008 because it was before I had moved to Vegas and my cousin started
Mm.
doing my hair. My cousin was like, "We're never putting chemicals on your hair ever again."
Mhm. Good. Good. Oh, so they gave you that anti haircut.
Yeah. Yeah. And as a
Aw.
14-year-old, that just really is not cool.
Especially entering high school.
Ah.
Like, that's not fair, you know?
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
tough.
It was traumatic, but
Yeah.
yeah, it took me a long time to be confident with my natural hair. And I would say,
Mhm.
even like in the last 5 years, is where I started like wearing
Mm.
it down. I used to always wear it up pretty much every single day. So
When it was worn naturally, right?
even after I stopped getting relaxers and stuff.
Mm.
So it's been a journey, and I
Um,
think that a lot of women can relate to that because we are just sold this, story that our hair needs to be long and luscious and straight in order to be beautiful.
yep, and silky, and I
Mhm.
don't know, we just our brains are somehow programmed to that's beautiful and that's corporate and that's
Mm.
Yes.
clean and that's all of the things that people think how our hair should look. So it's I'm glad that things are shifting a bit
Mhm.
for us curly girls. We still have the Crown Act and things that we're still trying to work through, but
Mhm.
for the most part I think that we're starting to evolve a little bit more as far as curls go.
I agree. And there's a lot more access and a lot more curly hair salons where when I was younger, like that just didn't even
It
exist.
wasn't a thing, yeah.
Right, right.
Hmm.
Well, you have to come in and get you a steam hydration treatment, a spa mist. We got
Mhm.
you.
Yes. So I have been wanting to book. I need a curly cut. I just got a trim like maybe a couple months ago, but I definitely need like a reshape. These used to be bangs and they're no longer bangs
Yeah.
anymore. So I'm definitely going to
Oh,
come
yeah.
visit.
Okay, we got you.
Thanks. I'm really excited to try your products too. Which, speaking of,
Okay.
we love that you saw a need in the beauty industry for professionals that didn't have access to high quality curl care products. What inspired you to then take it to the next level and hire an on site chemist?
Oh, a number of reasons. One of the main ones is that the reason why I stopped doing relaxers was because I was tired of putting trash on my clients' hair. I,
Yeah.
I was not okay with not just the relaxer itself, but also the other products that came along with the relaxer, certain leave-in conditioners and serums and things that clearly were not good for us.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one where I was like, let me look into, other products. So when I first started doing strictly natural hair, we had the big box brands like the L'Oreals and the Redkins and all of them trying to come out with curly products. And then the same thing, I'm looking at the ingredients. I'm like, where are all these parabens coming from and why?
Mm-hmm.
Why so much mineral oil and you're charging $40 for a leave-in conditioner?
Mm-hmm.
I was really starting to pay attention and become more aware of what was in these products. So when I first started doing mine, I just started mixing things kind of together. Like, okay, this isn't a dimethicone, this is a water soluble silicone, or this is water soluble conditioner. And I wonder what that would do if I mix this with this. So I was mixing things myself at first.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found a chemist, my very first chemist in New Mexico, and we created together our very first product, which was my leave in conditioner. So
Wow.
after that, people were like buying it. And I mean, this was, gosh, I want to say, what, 2013? It was
Okay.
just, I
Oh,
had
wow.
people buying it like crazy, just my leave in. And I was like, let me
Mhm.
expand this. And then my chemist ended up going out of business. So I was like,
Oh.
oh no.
Mhm.
And I really believe in the power of your words and manifestation and whatever your belief system is, the power of prayer for most.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept saying, I need to find somebody, please. And I would journal it and I would write it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I found somebody in Temecula, a,
Wow.
a cosmetic chemist who's also an aromatherapist, which is totally my jam because
Yeah.
I'm all about aromatherapy. I'm all about not just the hair, but also the mind, the body, the spirit,
Mhm.
how the product makes you feel, not just in the hair, but when you smell it. And I found her, oh my gosh, it's been 6, 7 years now,
Okay.
and we have expanded my line to leave-in, shampoo, conditioner, deep conditioner. She's knows my mother. My mother helped not formulate, but came up with the fragrance for the Lola, which I named after my mother.
Okay.
So we're able to continue her legacy after she passed with the
Right.
fragrance that she chose, and I have the same chemist. So it really happens organically, to
Mhm.
answer your question. It was something that I really wanted to do, but I didn't know if I could and how. And by just speaking it and knowing that it's going to happen, it organically kind of happened.
Yeah, especially that person being local to the area makes it so much easier to get together and always have these meetings about development and creating the product that you want to put out for everybody. It's such a nice thing
Yeah.
because for us, we're one of the main goals of the podcast is to what we're doing now, reach out to local people and expand, because I feel like if we just tap in to who is here, what is here, then we can make ourselves a little bit more available to the community that is here and tap into those people who
Mhm.
are very genuine and wanting the same thing out of our, I like to call Temecula a big small town.
Yeah, and you will.
Mm-hmm.
It will happen. It's Temecula. I have a love dislike relationship with this town,
Mm-hmm.
but something is drawing me here and keeping me here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to figure out what that is,
Yep.
hopefully sooner than later. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue expand and grow and have my footprint here in Old Town Temecula.
Yes. Yeah, we love it. I mean, it's not too often that we drive down that street because it's a bit crowded for us now. But every time I see your sign, I'm like, hey.
It's me. We
Yeah.
up here.
Especially because across the way is that cute little our matcha place.
Oh
It's like pink everything
yes.
inside. So cute. We love it there.
Yeah, it's a cute spot.
We have some of the same sentiments.
Yeah.
We're always coming up with ideas of, oh, like Temecula needs this. And what if we had this kind of group? And what if we had this kind of business? And so it's kind of like that idea of build it and they'll come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been here most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I went to middle school here. I went to high school here.
Wow.
And my kids, same thing, elementary, middle school. My daughter graduated from high school in June.
Mm-hmm.
So we're known.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get to that a little bit later because I definitely want to have a time for that conversation.
Sure.
Speaking to the products specifically, it's funny today I was actually just looking for a different conditioner for my daughter because me being Latina and her dad being black, mixed Afro Latina, so her hair is, I would say she's somewhere between like a 3B to a 3C, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So she has still
Okay.
like that fine, soft hair, but very, very curly and can become like dry and brittle very quickly. So I'm always looking for
Mm.
different things to keep it nourished and trying to keep the scissors away from her as long as possible because I want to see how it grows out before we could really get to her first cut, right? But still
Sure.
pampering her after her bath and stuff. And she's 3 going on 13, but read these books.
Oh,
She's looking at certain things and she's saying, oh, I wish my hair was long. I'm like, well, baby, like your hair is long, but you have very curly hair. So we'll show her like in the bath when we comb it out. I'm like, look, your hair is very long, but also short hair is very beautiful too. So you can see those thoughts already forming at such a young age. So essentially for me, because I don't have that experience, I mean, I have basically straight hair, how can we instill confidence in our children to embrace their natural hair, especially for moms like me who don't necessarily have that texture? I suppose, what are your tips for educating and making sure that instilling that confidence happens at such a young age?
a very good question. And I wish that more mothers would ask me that first
Mm-hmm.
before making and coming into appointments, because my job, not just as a mother, but as a stylist, I feel like I have a responsibility to make sure our kiddies, our little ones,
Mhm.
feel really good about not just their experience, but about their hair, right?
Mhm.
But I will tell you this, it does start at home.
Mhm.
Even though you have a different hair texture, I think that it's important at this young age to start her little affirmations.
Mhm.
My hair is beautiful. My hair is long, or whatever it is she wants it to be,
Mhm.
because then she'll start to feel it and know it and say it to be true,
Yes.
especially when they're that young. And another thing I will say is to bring her around other curlies that look like her.
Mm.
I think that that's important too, to just bring her around other curly babies so that she
Okay.
sees, "Oh, your hair is curly." They won't say it, but
Right.
you will be able to see it in her face when she sees
Yes.
other curly babies. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I've been really wanting to do, is like a mommy and me class in my
I
space,
would be there in a heartbeat.
because I have so many biracial babies.
Mhm.
My kids are biracial, and my daughter, in her whole life, has straightened her hair twice. And it's
Okay,
Wow.
because,
wow.
and she has only, and when she did it that one time, she wanted it wet immediately. She wanted it curly again,
Mm.
Wow.
because I was all she knew, right? She had school, at school, and a lot of the girls there did have straight hair, but mommy always had a big afro with a flower in it.
Mhm.
That's all that she knew, and that's all that she saw.
Mhm.
And I would do the same thing. I would surround her with other curly babies. I think that that's important.
Mhm.
That's why representation is important, for them
Mhm.
to see, if she has curly babies. And I think the affirmation cards, which I will send you some, would be
Okay.
great for her. Even though they're not geared towards kids, you can take a couple of them out because they're geared, more towards women. But there are a lot in there that I think she would be able to read to herself
Okay.
and
Yeah.
feel seen and heard, and the words that she speaks
Mhm.
Mhm.
will kind of trigger in her mind, and it'd be like, okay, my curls are beautiful. They
Yes.
are enough. I
Mhm.
accept my curls as they are.
Yeah.
And let her say it in the mirror every
Mhm.
morning.
Yeah,
And
that's a good practice.
it's such a good practice.
Mhm. Yeah, right now we have a interesting relationship with her hair being done, but it's toddlerhood. So I do
Yeah.
ensure that like when I am brushing it after a shower, it's a different experience than if I'm like getting her ready to go to her dad's and I ask her what she wants. I'm like, do you want a bun? Do you want space buns? What do you want for your hair today? Right. And sometimes I let her pick clips and things like this. And she's involved in an outdoor nature play school where a lot of those babies are Spanish speakers or multilingual or biracial. Specifically, this little boy who's so adorable, who they both have curly hair. So, continuing to do that. And then this book that we love to read called My Hair is Magic. And it's this tiny little girl in the front, and her hair takes up the whole front cover. So, doing those
Yeah.
things, but making sure that she's actually saying those affirmations because she learns that at nature play as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm really excited to
Yeah.
read those to her. I think she would love them. She already is very familiar with affirmations. So,
Good. I'll
yeah.
send you a box
Oh,
Yes,
that'd be
of
great.
course. That would
Thank
be so
you.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's important to start it really young because as women and women of color, like that hair wound can run really deep, especially like when you're constantly being told that your hair is a problem or it's
Mm,
different or it's weird or why is it like
unmanageable.
that, unmanageable. Yeah, it took me a really long time as an adult to just embrace it and be like, this is my hair and it's so beautiful the way that it is. Like, why have I my entire life tried to change it?
Mm,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's, everyone in their own time, will accept it. I've had women in my chair that are in their 50s, and they're in corporate, and they're like, "Can you help me?
mm,
I
yeah.
don't know what to do." I want to feel confident walking in the office with my curls. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like I'm walking them through it as I would, one of my babies, one of my
Right.
5-year-olds. It's the
Mm.
same kind of thing of acceptance. And then when I get down, it's like an onion, and I'm peeling it, and I'm getting down to these layers. It always comes back to when I was little,
Mhm.
or somebody said this to me and
Mhm.
said I look like Bozo when I was 6 and I never forgot. It's always like that one thing that made them feel insecure about their hair.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So after peeling out all the layers and they tell me what it was, and we say, you know what? That's not true. I'm sorry that made you feel that way,
Mhm.
but let's make you feel beautiful again from the inside out. It's always within.
Mhm.
It's always within.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost never the actual hair. It's
Right.
always something that made them feel a certain way when they were younger, or,
Yeah.
even recently. It's always one thing.
Yeah. It always starts within, and it is inner child healing at the end of
Mhm.
the day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Unprogramming those things that others told us or that we told to ourselves about our hair, especially because our hair is just so rich in history and in
Mhm.
pride. I
Yeah.
think that, to me, that expression of myself, and I just feel so empowered when I started wearing my hair natural. I just really felt connected to myself and my community in a way that I hadn't when I wasn't wearing my hair or was ashamed of my hair.
Feel it.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
think I've
Feel it.
seen. I mean, Christina and I have been friends for nearly 13 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I
It's been a
think I've
while.
seen her hair straightened or every other possible way other than curly. I think it took me a long time for me to even realize that her hair was that curly, because growing up
Mm.
together in our friendship throughout our early to mid to late 20s, now early 30s, I just had no clue because her hair was always straight. And as soon as
Mm-hmm.
I found out she had curly hair, which I also encourage one of my cousins to always wear her hair naturally curly too, because she grew up straightening it her whole life. And as soon as they start to wear their hair curly, I'm like, like that's who you are. Like, there you are.
That's you. Yeah.
Yeah, there you are. Like, I can see you.
Yeah, it's how it grows out of their head.
Yes.
And it's the confidence that people exude when they leave the salon, or when they see their curlies come out and they know
Mhm.
that it's enough and they know that they're beautiful. They just walk
Oh
different.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing like that bounce after you come from the salon and your curls are just
Right.
like popping and you're like, okay,
I
I'm
gotta go
feeling
somewhere.
myself.
Where can I go right now? I've got to go somewhere. Let me be seen.
Yeah.
Just walk different. Yes,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. You touched on this a little bit, but we wanted to circle back on it. Being local to Temecula and a vocal advocate for racial equality, how has your experience been growing up here and witnessing the changes that have impacted the community as a whole?
I don't know if you guys are aware, my daughter led a walkout
Oh yes.
Mm.
about 2 years ago, so you probably saw that.
Mhm.
Before that, I wasn't too much involved in the politics town. I was very just like, let me stay in my salon, mind my business, do my thing. But my daughter started being very vocal about things that were going on out here and led a walkout. And my main priority and thing was to protect my child at all costs,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because she was being very vocal in a space that was not safe to be vocal in. And that whole experience really opened my eyes, because I never saw myself as an advocate or somebody speaking out for things, and for the marginalized folks in Temecula. Like, I was just like, you know what, I'm a black owned business, I'm doing my thing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna help other black owned businesses.
Mhm.
I kept it very, I never got into the political stuff.
Right.
And what that experience taught me on a local level now, what
Mhm.
the experience taught me on a local level is that with people here that are left and right, I had to really be careful, because just because someone is left leaning doesn't necessarily mean that they're all the way on your side.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Just because somebody is, same thing for the people that are more right leaning. So my daughter was getting it from both sides politically.
Mhm.
Wow.
The people from the right were just, they're being vicious. I had my bank accounts hacked into. We were being, yeah, it was just this crazy social media war that was going on for
Mhm.
people, for some certain ones, and then people that were more on the left were trying to diminish her voice and
Mhm.
trying to say and control it. these are the things that you need to say. These are the talking points that we want you to say. So
Mm.
I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, whoa. Like, whoa, we have to really be careful here. And when we advocate, we have to do it without any political influence,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have to do it because, okay, this is wrong. This person shouldn't be discriminated against because of how they look. It should be like cut
Yeah.
and like black and white.
Right. You would think. We talk about this
You
all the
would think.
time.
Yeah.
This divide, that's occurred over both parties, the two biggest,
Yes.
over these last several
Yeah.
years have just been nothing like I've ever experienced. Sure, there's disagreements always. There's different opinions always, and that's fine. And we come to the table and we try our best to talk about those. A lot of the time it's agree to disagree. But I think the level of hatred that was allowed, it's been a really tough thing to watch, especially in a community that I also grew up in as well. And so now being back here, I wouldn't necessarily say against my own will, but not necessarily my first choice. Before this, I was in LA for 7 years. So I was in like a little bit of a bubble. And I was in like West LA
Mm.
too, which is even more like fun and fancy free. So
Oh,
they're
Yeah.
just like, oh,
yeah.
whatever. Like,
This is very
yes, it's
different.
very different. And I knew
Yeah.
that, I think I did my very last year of elementary school and then all the way through middle school, high school, same as you, early college years before I moved away. But coming back here, I've noticed so many different things. And I often hid the fact that I was from here. I never said that I was from here. I would always say I'm from San Diego because technically I was born
Mm.
there and I did have a lot of my adolescent years and early childhood years there as well. But I never wanted to claim this place because it was tough for me because it's like people automatically think that you're of a certain way of thinking, right?
Mm.
Which isn't always the case. And so I do
Mhm.
see the shift, but I also see like how careful you always have to be no matter what because of the hatred, like I said, that was allowed to occur. And it feels scary now to have a difference of opinion when really it should be like what you're saying, black and white. It's a human right to be treated with respect.
That's it. And that was the main thing. So I was ready for the pushback that she received, but I wasn't ready for the other things. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, on both sides.
Right.
On both sides.
Right.
I'm not gonna come on here and just dog out one because
Right.
it was both that was doing some wild stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in the black community in Temecula is 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So it's very small.
Yeah.
And when I was speaking out saying things, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why are you speaking for black people? You shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was just so many. I had so many different experiences, and I think I opened my eyes to it, and it made me much more aware and stronger. And I was able to really look at people's intentions quicker
Mhm.
and just keep on to the path that, okay, this is right and this is wrong. Type of, I had to have this type of tunnel vision,
Mm-hmm.
like, no, that's wrong. Even on that side, that's wrong on that side. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, not
Yes.
trying to get too politically driven
Right.
with my advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to be very just like, no, I don't
Yeah.
agree with that. And we're not going to all agree on things 100%, but I'm
Right.
speaking on things that have to do with human rights.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a morality thing
Yeah.
than a political thing, or it should be.
Mm-hmm.
It should be,
Yeah.
but not a lot of people are there. And I think that if we were to all come together and sit down, we would agree with a lot more than
Yeah.
not.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
people are
agree.
just like, things are so divisive right now, and people aren't in that space. And I get it because I wasn't in that space a few years ago when they were coming after my daughter. But I
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
am in that space now to where I can sit down and have conversations and say, no, I don't agree with that. But hey, if I see you on the streets, I'll still say hi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels, yeah, it's saddening almost how you feel like, oh, I have to just completely have this shield over me or this bubble where I can't, I think even interact with people who have, opposing views. And it's definitely something that we talk about a lot. We don't ever really get too political on the
Yeah,
podcast, but I think overall, just speaking to involvement in your local community, I think no matter what, there's going to always be politics involved in anything. I mean,
sure.
I work for the school district myself, and I see it every day.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
tough because you want to go in there and you're like, this is wrong, and I need to make this change here, and this change needs to happen here. But
sure,
everything is so slow. So the best thing you could do is just show up authentically as yourself and make those small
sure.
changes that ultimately end up becoming big changes later on down the line. But it's more of a waiting game.
Exactly, exactly. And I've geared towards more, if it doesn't bring me much joy, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm in
Fair
this
enough.
era, in this space in my life. If it doesn't, make me feel good, or, if it just doesn't bring me joy, I'm good. Like
Right.
I've did all that crazy stuff before. I'm just, after a while you just get tired of shit.
Yeah, it's tiring.
Yeah.
No, that's funny because one of our guests here recently talks about living a carefree life and just
Mhm.
choosing what feels right for you, choosing joy for yourself, and just
Mm.
the unbotheredness of it all. I'm like,
Letting things fall to the wayside that
yeah.
just, like you said, are not adding to your life. And I think we always want to look at the more positive side of things. I think that there's so many great things happening in Temecula.
Mhm.
I mean, for both of you, I've only lived here for about a year. So
Mhm.
both of you have
Okay.
completely different experiences. I moved here and I was a little bit shocked at how some things were because
Yeah.
I'm from the Midwest, but grew up mostly for 13 years in Las Vegas. Lived in Texas and Houston for a little bit, which is like very, cultural. And then moved here. And I was just thinking that this is going to be, I mean, it's California. You know what I mean? It's the best place to be. Like, why would
No.
there be, you
Mm-mm.
know, it's a very blue state. So I just was like not expecting it when I moved
Mhm.
here, and I saw some things that were going on in the school district, and you see the flags and you see the rallies and all these things, and I'm like, where am I?
Temecula is a bubble.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because if you go anywhere else in California, it's a little different. I
Mhm.
mean, there are some like little pockets
Yeah.
of conservative towns, but this one in particular, these folks really do live in a bubble.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some of the stuff you see online locally, you're like, are you for real? If you were to do that anywhere else, it would be ridiculous. You would be
Mhm.
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah, and we do like what Christina said. We see all of the changes. Like we pretty much have a residency at Akash. We love it there. It's one of our favorite wineries, and we love that it's brown owned. And we just try to take that in stride and really lift up those places, right?
Hmm.
When we see that happening, we're like, okay, I want to support as much as I possibly can, and hoping that that will bring more BIPOC ownership, like land ownership and wineries, since that's what we're about over here, and just different businesses popping up. Being able to see that happening at all in this town is a win for us.
Right.
So,
Sure.
Because the bottom line is, I heard your mom shared something. I don't know her exact wording, but she's lived in Temecula for a really, really long time. Before she lived in Temecula, was so much in love with it. And so she's like, okay, when we have kids and we settle, I want to move to Temecula. And when she moved here, she said she was like one of the only Black people. And what stuck with me when your mom was telling me the story of, I'm not going to be pushed out because I'm resilient. I deserve to live where I want to. And this is a beautiful place. I love the hiking, the nature, the wineries, and everything. I deserve to live here too and experience that too, just because I look differently than you and there aren't as many of me. I mean, you said 3%. That's shocking to me because I didn't know it was that low. We should be allowed to have abundant, joy filled lives wherever we choose, and just having that resilience of, well, they're not going to ruin my day and they're not going to push me out of the place that I want to call home.
period.
Did you just hear what you said? So that's what we as people of color in this town have to deal with all the time.
Yeah.
Resilience. Oh, they're not going to push me out. It's such a tiring way to live.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be very honest with you. Those words hit, and they're very true.
Yeah.
But what comes along with that is a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
And, leaving my salon and my place, hoping that everyone is safe when they leave.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like I said in the beginning, I don't know why I'm still here. My husband and I bought land in wine country, and every day I'm like, what are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
What are we supposed to do here?
Yeah.
And then I'll get an email from you guys about what you're trying to do. And I'm like, wow, maybe I'm supposed to stay. It's just I'm waiting for these signs, to
Yeah.
tell me like what to do, because it's a lot of weight, and it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy being here. But like I said, I feel that this is my home too. I
Mm-hmm.
grew up here, but
Right.
it's still that weight.
Yeah.
Oh, I deserve to be here. I can walk here. I have every right than you do to walk here. That's a lot, and
It
that's
is.
tiring.
Right.
It is.
And
Because
I've
not
been doing it
everybody,
since I've been 15.
yeah, because and not everybody functions that way.
It's a lot.
No one
It's a
else
lot.
here has to function that way if they're
Right.
not a person of color, because they're allowed to
Mm-hmm.
take up space in whatever way they please. And so
Yes.
that's energy to take up space.
Mm.
And if you don't have to think about it, then you don't spend any energy on it, right? But yeah, I mean, even growing up here myself, I like would always gravitate toward friends who I thought would just be like-minded. And it was tough because I can count it on one hand, And that's why leaving and having that refresh and living in such a big city, like LA is a huge city. It's not even really my
Mhm.
style. But
Yeah.
I lived there and I did so intentionally, and I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about, different people and just different walks of life. And so being back here in a different mental space, and then also understanding that I am too raising my child here for however long I need to. Yeah, I think just understanding where you're at in that moment and really deciding what to do with that time wisely,
Mhm.
and just trying to figure out what it is that I'm supposed to do while I'm here. Because who knows when it'll be that I can just skedaddle
Yeah.
if I'm
Girl, I'm
going
I'm
to.
right there. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
My daughter just graduated. My son has another 3 years to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there, but there is a need. I feel that I have to be here, have my business here. I'll
Mm-hmm.
leave and I'll walk to my car almost at least once a week. Someone will be like, oh my gosh, like they see someone like me, another person of color, like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, or oh, I've seen you online. Where are you at? Where's your salon? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
okay, I need to be here
Yeah.
so that people will see me
Mm-hmm.
and they'll feel like I would see people's shoulders kind of drop, like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
okay, it's cool. Especially
Yeah.
like in Old Town, we're like
Mm-hmm.
right in the middle of it. So
Right.
Yes.
I feel it's like a responsibility to have to show up and to be, so that others can see that we're here.
Right.
Right.
But
I
that's a
know.
weight too.
Yeah.
Like
It
while it's
is.
necessary and it's great to have that responsibility, I just want to recognize that when you take something on your shoulders like that, it's a weight, whether you absolutely love it or not. It's still, I think that
Mm-hmm.
as people of color, women of color, we always kind of have that in the back of our mind, and just moving throughout life. We're doing this not only for ourselves, but for maybe our kids, our family,
Mm-hmm.
our ancestors, people who are going to need it in the future, someone
Right.
to look to in
Yeah.
the future. And so I think that we're so strong because of that. But
Mm-hmm.
it is like
Yeah.
you're saying, it's still work.
Oh yes. Yeah.
It is, but I mean, I do it. I'm doing it for my babies,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not just saying my babies. I'm talking about the babies that come and walk into my door and into my
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
salon, and showing them and telling them that you are enough,
Mm-hmm.
and telling them my story.
Mhm.
I had a little girl come in. She was like 11. She said, "This is yours? This is
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
your shop?" Like, she just couldn't believe it. And I said,
Oh.
"Yes, you can have one too."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for the babies, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
hanging and be here as long as I feel I need to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're so in touch, and how to listen to yourself. So even just teaching that is like so far beyond, what we could ever learn from all of the negativity sometimes that surrounds us. Being able
Sure.
to teach someone how to trust their intuition, listen to themselves. So I think that you'll be able to hear that voice like loud and clear.
And when I hear it, I'll be like, I love y'all.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
now, I'm supposed to stay put, or I don't know. We'll just have to see.
Right.
We'll have to see what happens with my
Yeah.
land. We'll have to see.
Mhm.
That's a
Yeah.
whole nother story. We'll have lunch and I'll talk to you guys about that one.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
excited
I
to
see you
follow
visit
along.
there and I'm like, oh, there's something happening here. Okay. I
We'll
follow
talk
along.
about it.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess we want to give you, before we wrap up, an opportunity to plug whatever you want to plug and kind of talk about where everyone can find you on social media.
Oh gosh, what do I want to plug? I've never been like a plugger. Check out
I
my brand
know
because
it
I'm
can feel
always
kind
the
of
one that shares other people's.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you can speak
Like
to that too, because that's another reason, like, why we wanted to have you on, is you're just such
the
a
involvement.
connector and a highlighter of
Yeah.
other people.
yeah, if I have my personal brand,
Mm-hmm.
so what I say is I love to sprinkle love into small businesses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's my jam. It's been my jam, especially BIPOC businesses.
Yeah.
But for my business, it's bkekoa.com. You can go to our website. I have organic products, they're clean ingredients. And then I have my salon, which is my curly hair salon, and we service all of our curlies.
Okay,
I love that.
perfect. And then we will just link all of the social media
Mhm.
accounts wherever you want people to follow. How do you prefer that people follow your personal account versus your salon, or is there a preference at all?
Do both. I
Okay,
mean, it's
yeah.
so they're so
Follow wherever.
different because
Okay.
my
Mhm.
salon, the BK Koa, it's my
Yes.
staff, it's my team, it's my
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
If you go to my personal brand, I don't talk about work.
Right.
Yeah. So
It's
you can
pretty
pick.
much
Yeah.
like me. Yeah, it can
Or
be
follow
Brandie
both.
Yeah,
Kekoa or
follow both.
B
Yeah.
or both.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
link everything for sure.
And definitely the affirmation cards too, because I can't wait for Coco
Mhm.
to get those. And if you guys have littles, or even for yourself, for us as women, we need to remind
Oh, yeah.
ourselves that our hair is strong and resilient and carries our story. So we'd love to highlight those. We'll link
Absolutely.
them in our show notes. But we just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we're so honored.
Yes.
We want to have more convos like this and see how people in Temecula, like us, who are wanting to build communities
Mhm.
for other people to feel included, can all get together in some way and, start something beautiful. Sprinkle a
Yeah.
little love and
Yeah.
start little fires that will catch throughout.
Mhm.
I love that. I'm for it.
Yes.
100%.
Okay, guys, I'm coming out of that just feeling so inspired and feeling very seen. I think one thing that we talk about a lot is kind of where we're at in life and
Mhm.
how maybe it wasn't our first choice, but we're making the best of it. And
Mhm.
it was just so interesting, refreshing, and surprising to hear that this isn't necessarily where Brandie would choose, but something's keeping her here,
Yes.
and really honoring the fact there's a reason for everything. There's a reason why
Right.
I'm here. There's a reason why you're here. We don't
Mhm.
know it yet.
Right.
And maybe that purpose is going to be fulfilled. Maybe it's not even like a purpose thing. Maybe it's just like this is where you're safe right now.
100%. 100%. That's how I feel about it. One of the biggest things I've taken away from therapy is what I've mentioned before, which is radical acceptance for things out of your control.
Mm.
And that allows you to have, on a daily basis, a much better experience. It really allows you to shift your mindset, shift your frame of mind into something different.
Mm.
So I love what she said about, like we mentioned, living in a small, big town. It's small enough to where it kind of gives you that feel, but it's big enough to where you don't necessarily know anybody. Like, it's still rapidly growing city. And so we are just trying to make the best of our experience here, when in a way, we don't really see a lot of ourselves here, or
Yeah.
we feel nervous about maybe who we're going to run into, and we're going to stop that there. That's all right, because I can feel myself going on and on about that one.
Oh, for sure.
So the other thing that we really enjoyed speaking about was her hair affirmations, which if you follow her on Instagram, she doesn't do that on the salon Instagram, but she'll do it on her personal Instagram, which we will link in the show notes.
Mhm.
And she reads from these affirmations, not necessarily on a daily basis, but several times a week, and really just challenges you to think about things in a different way, or asking you if that resonated with you or if that made you think of something. And so when we spoke about doing affirmations for hair, of course it was important for me to bring up my daughter because we share different hair types, and it's really important for me that she speak love into her hair and she speaks love to herself and her body. And so we've started that very young, but it was really nice to have that perspective from someone who does have that hair type. And the fact that Christina lives with us is really helpful. There are so many products that I've already started using because of Christina being here. And it was just such a beautiful conversation to have, especially as it relates to having a natural hair journey.
Right. And I think too, even things that I've seen with your daughter is like I can be that example or reassurance for her. Like
Yes.
when she is saying, "Oh, I wish that my hair is long." Like, girl, our
Mhm.
hair is long.
Yes.
It's just curly, so it doesn't
Yeah.
look like that.
Right.
Or I want my hair to be straight. And it's like, yeah, like one day we can straighten your hair, but
Mhm.
it's beautiful the way that it naturally is.
Right.
And that's something that I wish I knew a lot earlier.
Yes.
I mean, I can't really blame little me
Yeah.
because I was raised in a predominantly white area and I just
Correct.
wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
And I had a mom who didn't know how to do my hair. I didn't know how to do my hair. And so the easiest thing to do was to just straighten it.
Yeah, and the availability, like we talked about, of products, the
Mhm.
lack of resources that were available until your mom was like, okay, well now I know what to do and I know where to take her
Yeah.
and to figure it out. And at that
Mhm.
time, that was like what she said was a very popular treatment to get your hair relaxed,
Right.
not knowing the effects that it was potentially having
Ah.
internally.
There's so many lawsuits. I get sent things all the time like, have you ever used this chemical relaxer on your hair? You might be
Right.
eligible for compensation. People are getting
Yes.
cancer. Black women are getting cancer
Yeah. It's
from straightening their hair so much.
It's feeling a little bit sickening, honestly.
Yeah.
We can go on and on about natural hair. Really, it's all boiled down to, again, remaining your authentic self, trying to find those moments, or yes, those moments of peace in maybe a situation where you find it being less than ideal, or a location that is less than ideal or not your dream spot to live, and really just making the best of it and figuring out what does work for you.
Yeah.
What does work for you in this space that you're in. And overall, one of the notes that we made here after having this conversation was minding your business.
Yes. Absolutely.
Minding your business, being involved in the community in an authentic and beautiful and kind way, but knowing when to take a step down. And that's my biggest takeaway from that conversation with Brandie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll see my way out. If I'm not going to be heard and respected, I don't need to use my voice here.
Correct. We don't need to argue.
We don't.
I'm tired of arguing.
Oh, yeah.
With that, we hope that you enjoyed. If you've made it to the end of the episode, specifically on YouTube, give us the little spa girl emoji with like the steam, because we did talk a lot about treatments, and we're going to go and we're going to let you guys get a little sneak peek into her salon. She sells her products worldwide on her website. We will link everything in the show notes. As always, please follow us on Instagram at empathsanonpod, YouTube, Empaths Anonymous. Subscribe, turn on your notifications. We're so close to 100 subscribers. I hope by the time this episode releases, we are at 100. But if we're not, please help us get there, because we love you and we mean it. And we'll chat you later, babes.
We will chat you later. And you know what we are going to do now? We are going to close out this EA
Would
meeting.
you like to say grace?
With a prayer.
Absolutely.
It always gets to hear with the accent. Okay.
Okay, yes. Listen, if I'm going to ask you to say grace, I'm going to do it this way. Christina, please say grace.
Okay, let us pray. Spirit, grant me the serenity to honor my timeline,
the courage to take up space in my small big town,
and the wisdom to not read a bitch when they try me. Bye.
Bye.